We reading in the writings of article What does it mean that charity to the poor makes the holy name in a work? Find a study materials in system. You can also send us questions live for our websites. Anyone asking a question in the study hall is asked to stand up, hold the microphone close to his mouth and speak loud and clear. Writings of Rush. The article What does it mean that charity to the poor makes a holy name in a work? I will give you rains in their season, meaning that each one will give his strength over you. That is that correction that you made, unifying that holy name, unification of law and ordinance, so that they will bestow upon you. It is written, keep the way of the Lord to do righteousness and justice. Since it is written, keep the way of the Lord, why does it need to say to do righteousness and justice? He replies, since one who keeps the ways of Torah, it is as though he does righteousness and justice. And what are righteousness and the justice? It is the Creator. Shimon wept and said, people who do not know and do not consider the glory of their Maker, of their Master, for who makes the holy name every day. It says, one who gives alms to the poor, who makes this awakening from below, meaning that he gives alms. It is as though he made the holy name in completeness, as one does below it awakens. You should understand the connection between alms giving and unification of righteousness and justice. Also, what is the connection between righteousness and justice and making a holy name? We also understand what it means that a person makes the holy name. Since we understand that the holy name, not that man makes the name, we should interpret this in the work. What does this come to teach us? It is known that the essence of our work in Torah and is to be able to receive the light and pleasure contemplated giving the created beings. The whole delay is in that we don't have the vessels to receive the abundance that comes from the giver to the created beings, meaning for the created beings to have equivalence of form, called as he is merciful, so you are merciful, meaning for the created beings to also have vessels of stone like the giver. When a person takes upon himself the kingdom of heaven, the body asks, what will you get out of this work of accepting the kingdom of heaven? First ages said about this, one should always engage in Torah and mitzvah, if Lishma not for her sake. Since from Lishma he comes to Lishma for her sake. This is as it is written in Theer, that there is a matter of fear when he observes in order to be rewarded in this world and in the next world. The fear that is important is because he is great and ruling, meaning not in order to be rewarded, because he says that he has the privilege of serving a great king. This is why he wants to observe Theurag. A person understands that there is the matter of serving the king was created with the nature of a desire to receive delight only from things that benefit itself. Body cannot understand serving someone else so that the other will enjoy, meaning that he will enjoy someone else enjoying his work. Is the body cannot understand it. That is unnatural for an employee who works for the owner, and the owner, the employer, truly benefits the work of the employee. The employee will tell the owner, I don't want you to pay me, it is enough for me that you enjoy the things that I fixed for you, because you regretted the broken tools that you had. Now that I fixed them, you are enjoying this, and I don't want any payment for my work. This is against nature. Contrary, if you enjoy my work, you should pay me more than I requested for my work. Accordingly, we can understand how it is possible for a person to have the strength to work for the sake of the Creator without any reward. The first state is when a person wants to observe, to so it will bring him there. Here, which is the light in the Torah, reforms him. That is through the remedy he will obtain the second nature called the desire to bestow. You will be able to serve the king without any reward, and his only reward will be that he is delighting the king. Calls this time when he observes to, in order to obtain the desire to bestow. 6318 second state is after he has already acquired the desire to Bestow this is the state of receiving the delight and pleasure that are in the 63 mot which the Z calls 613. Sin this means as it is written in theme commentary that the delight and pleasure I there is a deposit this reason man's work when he takes upon himself the burden of the kingdom of heaven is to make it as charity for the poor it is nows and mere we should interpret this as not wanting to receive any return. This is similar to giving charity to a poor person not asking him for anything in return, that is, we do not even want the poor person's gratitude. Real charity is called concealed giving, which means that he does not see to whom he gives. Therefore the charity was without any gratitude from the poor. It follows that the person accepts the burden of the kingdom of heaven above reason. He does not hope for the Creator to thank him for it. Thus body asks, why are you taking upon yourself the burden of that state when he wants to take upon himself to observe without any reward? The person needs the Creator to give him the strength to overcome the body's question, have the strength to do the holy work. Gladly follows that precisely when one works in order to come to work that is purely holy without any mixture of wasting, though the person becomes needy of the Creator's help each time that he wants to reassume the burden of the kingdom of heaven, he must work new must believe the words of the who says, and every day new phases that have fallen into the shells are corrected, and one day is not like the next, and one moment is not like the following, assuming the burden of the kingdom of heaven, and you correct new discernments into for this reason, when a person wants to take upon himself the kingdom of heaven, and you the body asks, what will you get out of working for the sake of the Creator, and there is no other way but to ask the Creator to give him the power of faith above the reason of the body. The words of our sages is called, had the Creator not helped him he would not overcome it. According to the above we should interpret what we asked about the relation that the Z explains about the verse on the way of the Lord, why it had to be written to do righteousness and justice. He replies, one who keeps the ways of Torah, it is as though he does righteousness and justice, as said above, since man does not have the strength to assume the kingdom of heaven above the reason of the body, but only by the power of Mitifi, which is the way of the Creator, the ways of Torah, in which a person is rewarded with giving alms to the poor. Since the light in the Torah reforms him, then he will be rewarded with doing righteousness and justice. This is the meaning of what he says, that by keeping the way of the Lord achieve the degree of doing righteousness and justice. Yet what are righteous and justice? That is what is this unification that the Z says is called making the holy name. In other words, what does it mean that by giving alms he makes the holy name, as said above? Righteousness or alms giving and justice means that the Creator is called justice, and mal is called righteousness, which is the quality of judgment on which there was a judgment. Since mal is called a vessel that receives abundance from the Creator, there were restriction and concealment on the vessels of reception in order to receive, meaning there was a judgment that it is forbidden to use the vessel reception, the vessels of reception, as they are due to disparity of form between the receiver called mal and the giver hold the Creator. Follows that there is separation above, so that the abundance cannot expand to the created beings because of the disparity of form. For this reason there was a correction. The lower ones to give alms to the poor work take upon themselves the burden of the kingdom of heaven without anything in return, but rather as one gives charity to the poor and does not want to receive anything in return. For this each one causes at the root of his soul that it will also work only in order to bestow. Follows that they cause the unification of the Creator and his. This means that by a person doing everything in order to bestow alms, justice is extended from the Creator to another words through the abundance that mal Called righteousness receives she's now. Called charity due to what she receives. From the Creator in other words, by the lower ones giving alms to the Creator to gives alms to. Mal at that time receives the name charity. This is the meaning of the words. One who gives alms to the poor, it is as though he made the holy name up above complete as it should be, meaning that he connects her with the Creator who gives her everything. It is certainly as though he made the holy name in completeness, as one does below, so it awakens above. This means that the kingdom of heaven is called poor because she has nothing to give to the created beings. If the created beings come to her with vessels of reception, then she's poor and meager, since the created beings cause in the reception that exists in the quality of mal. This causes separation between mal and the Creator who is the giver. The name is not complete because in terms of the name, the Creator is called the good who. That's good since they cause that in at the root of their sorry, since they caused the separation in at the root of their souls, and there was a restriction of the abundance on the quality of reception. By this they prevent the abundance from expanding to the lower ones. But if the created beings give alms, meaning do their actions in order to bear, they cause desire to bestow at the root of their soul, and then they cause equivalence of form above, and the abundance is imparted to the created beings. The name the good who does good is revealed to the lower ones. This is considered that they make the holy name ink completeness. In other words, every by directing their actions be in order to bestow, it follows that there are two states to men. One, the beginning of the work we must begin in Lishmer, that is everything one does is in order to receive reward in this world and in the next world. That time the Creator is called for him the King of the nations, as it is written, who will not fear you, King of the nations. In the work interpret that when one works for one's own benefit is regarded as nations or Gentiles, he still did not achieve the quality of Israel, where his actions are straight to the Creator, that the person is serving a king who is called the King of the nations. What sort of greatness of the king can there be in a person who is in a state of Gentiles nations, although he has fear, as is written, who will not fear you, King of the nations? Know that this is very important. That is, the person must know that any contact he has with the Creator is very important. When person works for a reward, we must not slight these works, although there is certainly a greater degree than the degree of king of their nations. This means that when a person is rewarded with the quality of Israel, certainly in his current attainment, when he is at the degree of Israel, he has a better understanding of the greatness of their Creator, point that he's delighted that he's serving a great king, and he has no need to receive anything in return for his work. Cunning faith for the sake of the Creator. We should interpret what our sages said. If your brother becomes poor and stretches out his hand, the writing says, do not rob poor, for he is poor. What is do not rob poor? Is there a person who robs the poor, or does one rob of someone who has nothing? However, you were to sustain him, you retracted and said, how long will I provide for this one? And you refrain from giving him. If you did so, know that you're robbing him. This is, do not rob the poor, for he is poor. According to the we should interpret that charity to the poor refers to Mal, who is called poor and meager because she has nothing to give back to men. Person works for the sake of the Creator and wants nothing in return, but he works only for the sake of their Creator. However, sometimes in the middle of their work, thoughts come to him that he is always working for the sake of the Creator and wants nothing in return. Certainly by this he will be rewarded with a higher degree, meaning that he will feel more flavor in Torah work, since he has already done his part. That he says that he's assuming the kingdom of heaven without any reward, meaning he's not even receiving a flavor in return for his work. If his intention is already for the sake of the Creator hold attention with the Creator. He should have felt vitality in his work. He does not see any progress in the work. Therefore he wishes to stop this work of his sent and work like the rest of the people, meaning in order to receive reward. The text says about this: do not rob a poor, for he is poor. Asks, is there a person who robs poor? What does one rob of someone who has nothing? However, if you were accustomed to sustain him, and you retracted and said, how long will I provide for this one, and you refrain from giving him, know that you're robbing him. Follows that the text warns us that one should not say, I have already worked a lot with the intention to achieve the aim to bestow, and I did not obtain the delight and pleasure one should obtain working with the intention to bestow, giving alms to the poor. Also I was promised that I will nonetheless obtain the light power, be able to do everything in order. To is the lie that is revealed when a person observes to run in the manner of 63 counsels in order to obtain vessels of pistol, called the light for the completion of their vessels, so they can work with the vessels in order to bail. But he did not obtain that force either, although the whole time he engaged in it was with this intention. Therefore, says the person, I have already given you many exertions, but I have not acquired anything, so I want to stop this work. This is the meaning of saying, how long will I provide for this one? In other words, I have given you much already, but I've received for it, but I received no spiritual progress in return. Says the person, how long will I have to work in a manner of alms to the poor? That point the person wants to escape the campaign and return to working like the general public, when he was working in a manner of who will not fear you, king of the nations. As said above, when a person works in observing T and mid-TV for the purpose of self-love, there is no place for working for the sake of their Creator. This is regarded as the king, whose Torah the person observes is called the king of the nations, and not the king of Israel, since then a person is not regarded as Israel as a Gentile. T warns about this: do not escape the campaign, do not rob the poor, for he is poor. Should interpret, do not rob the poor. It means that you should not stop the alms that you're giving him, meaning the acceptance of the kingdom of heaven without any reward, or although you claim that you have already given him many alms, know that this is incorrect. If poor is that, as long as you think that Mal, who is poor, should give you something, you are not saying that she's poor. That is, if a person demands of to reward him, he already blemishes the name of who is called poor and meager, since you are demanding something of her. The person pray to their Creator to give him the strength to be satisfied and happy, being able to work, for even when she hides herself, do not show him any nearing, and his taste in the work is as if he has now begun a new, meaning that he cannot say that he feels any flavor, of which he can say that for this flavor is working, laboring in assuming the kingdom of heaven. He has no support or basis, so that he can say, this is why I engage in this, is called hanging the earth on nothing. He's called completely above reason, although it is completely against the body's nature. He prays to the Creator for this, to give him this power. This is the meaning of what is written: do not rob the poor, for he is poor. Should always want to stay and take upon himself the kingdom of heaven, and his basis is for he is poor. This is as said about what is written: charm is deceitful in beauty is vain. A woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. He said that when one assumes the burden of the kingdom of heaven, sometimes the kingdom of heaven is graceful, sometimes he feels that there is beauty in the kingdom of heaven. Says about this is all a lie, that is, this whole basis on which he builds his kingdom of heaven is a lie. Rather, a woman who is the kingdom of heaven that a person takes upon himself, it should be because of the fear of their Creator, meaning that his fear will be, as it is written in the Zed, are the essence of fear, because he is great and ruling as it is Said fear, which is the most important, is that one fears one's master because he is great and ruling the essence and the root of all the worlds, and everything is considered nothing compared to him, and one will place his will in that place. Therefore follows that prayer is the most important. The person should pray to the Creator to give him the required force for anything that concerns the work, both and in prayer one should ask the Creator to give him the need, meaning a desire for the work. Sometimes a person comes to a state where he has no desire for anything, mean that he does not see anything good before him, something that he should want that will bring him vitality, that this will give him a need to exert in order to obtain something. Rather, the person stays with, remains without any desire, which he can say that it is worth laboring in order to obtain it. He does not see this. He must ask the Creator to give him some desire for something, meaning that this being will give him a desire to work according to the person's understanding. The request will be that the Creator will let him see something that will bring him delight and pleasure. This is, as the sages said, the eye see and the heart sets. That is, if the Creator lets him see something for which it is worthwhile to work, the coating in the heart will make him seek ways by which to obtain this thing. It follows that the person prays now is only for the purpose of a desire called a vessel. This means that the first prayer that a person should pray is for a desire and lack that the Creator will give him to ask for a deficiency, so that if he obtains the satisfaction of the deficiency, that satisfaction or feeling will F man in complete. That is, the Creator will notify him what is the hess he should achieve, so as to know what it is that he truly needs. In order to know what he truly needs, this is done through the Torah, whereby the power of the Torah, the light in it, reforms, meaning that the T lets he know what he is missing. However, a person should demand this of the Torah, meaning for the Torah to guide him toward attaining the truth. Also, a person should find the connection between him and the Torah for his desire to know. This connection with the Torah is already regarded as a prayer. This means that by this he already connects himself to the Creator. When he learns Torah, since he's asking the Creator, when he engages in Torah to understand the connection between the Torah and the person who is learning the Torah, and once he has a fit for the Creator to give him the deficiency, he must ask the Creator to give him the feeling for the deficiency, meaning to be rewarded with achieving the degree of men's completeness. For so what is the complete deficiency according to the article? No, to work without any reward, to agree to at what okay more in every state, in every degree, to ask the Creator for help, that he will give the help that is necessary for that degree. Again, what more I need to come here every day and give a new effort to bestow to the Creator every moment. When I leave this path and I don't make this effort, I'm robbing. I should take this responsibility every day for the sake of everyone. Come here truly with a true intention to give contentment to the Creator, because is poor and I have to constantly give her the good and pleasure that the Cree wants to give us, to give the whole of creation. Can't that the person asks that the Creator will give him that does not come from within himself. Okay, yes, no thank you very much, to with all my might to ask to be with devotion. Even if I die I want to be a damn okay. Again, according to the article, he writes that the true deficiency is that a person should want that the Creator will reveal to him what wholeness is, and then he will know what he needs to reach, where he needs to reach. No, here he also writes that a person should find the connection between him and the Torah, constantly search for this connection between him and the Torah. That too is a lack that the Creator will clothe in the friends in the 10 is the only one who can complete the purpose of creation by providing for mal. By this he helps the Creator and he completes the purpose of creation. Can the true lack is fear towards the Creator. No. He writes here that one should reach, knowing what he truly lacks. We need all the time to scrutinize. What is it that we truly lack, I guess? That's our work. Can I ask for no people are asking or speaking? Can and we can say with the words he writes. Here the fear of the Creator, it's like a woman a deficiency, and the fear he one of this on top of this you want to give, let him receive everything, but we want to give him contentment, we want to receive everything but for him. He says that it is we must not stop giving alms to the poor. We have to constantly ask and not to give up even if we don't see a result. The main thing is to continue, not to stop. Not quite clear what alms to the poor is, but he says that we should not stop that. Can yes. More, he also says that there is the lack of Rabbi Shimon, who cries and says, woe unto people who do not know and do not look at the glory of their master. The Creator is hidden, but he says, here make the holy name each and every day is giving alms to the poor, like said. Also he writes, by this it turns out that prayer is the most important, that the person should pray to the Creator to give him the power that is necessary for anything related to the work in the Torah, and also in the prayer a person should always have the need to advance just to enjoy the gratitude or enjoy the fact that he has efficiency or that he is some wholeness, but to constantly search for how to advance and to be connected to the Creator so that he will advance him. What? Okay, like for the greatness of the Creator to serve their Creator. Yes, no. No more yes. I think that the strongest sentence in the article is when he writes that he will give me a need that the Creator will give the person that the need the lack for work of bestow. So that word, the need, is I think the strongest word. OKL. For we want to advance, we have a lack, have a question. Many friends in the 10 say that the corporal work takes the majority of their time, and it doesn't leave them enough time to work with the 10. How can we overcome these attacks on the body and on the needs of the body that come from outside the 10, and how can we use them in a work in the 10? I don't know, but it seems to me that if we succeed with our intention, then we can do all of our work calmly, comfortably, complain that we have no time, that we must be like slaves all day long, all night long, immersed in spiritual work. That's not good, that's incorrect. A person has to combine these two things. No, can for meaning the desire that I will have a lack first of all. Yes, correct. The reward for a mitzvah is a mitzvah in addition to the fact that the desire should also be to bestow, that should be the feeling. Again, it necessary for L wants to connect with the Creator. It is connected anyway because it's the greatest, biggest vessel of receptions in the world. The restriction or self, what dwells in the world, what governs the world, depends on relative to whom, with respect to a person who's going towards the correction. What does he have ahead of him? It opens up before him the possibility to bestow. So he should say that there is restriction over the world because he has work. It brings up a question. The person should know, what is the difference between the wholeness that a person should achieve and the general the wholeness that a person has to come to means that his entire desire will be only to bestow to the Creator with this eternal embrace and ta'an. That's it's so about mal being poor. He should demand the Create that it won't be poor. He should not accept the fact that he's poor, and here in the article he's not supposed to demand from the Creator the feeling of that he will be able to her the shows him that mal is poor and destitute. It helps a person advance a request, and in a prayer you should ask to fill, not to agree that she's poor. You should ask for the possibility to fill her right. Yes, this coincides with the fact that the work is only because he's great and ruling. Yes, should I find out how these two things come go inside, what does it not work out? Because here he says that we should not demand anything but work only because he's great and ruling, but here a person actually has great work. What is great work? C. That is F. That there is advancement in the direction of the Creator, that reality is filled with the knowledge of the Lord. What does it mean to settle for the work? That He is great and ruling anything else besides that, only to attain that the Creator is the one who's running everything, who's controlling everything. And how does it work? With the fact that is poor depends on in which quality is it, or is a W to receive, then it remains poor and meager. But when it wants to be connected with everyone, and the upper light to everyone, and fill all of reality by that, she's not poor and meager. This is the reality that one should build for himself. Yes, I understand now. Thanks. After all in all, you have to connect all, both of the restriction of this world. You have to connect them together. Okay, so we're moving forward part of the lesson, next part. But before that, let's sing together. Whenever I feel between the highs and the lows, I call on my friends to show me the way to rise from below. Each step that we take, each wall that we ring, we're rising higher above ourselves, towards the life that never ends. We will rise above ourselves. Each step that we take, each wall that we break, we're rising higher above ourselves. TOS, the life that never ends. We will rise above RC. For each step that we take, each wall that we break, we're rising higher above ourselves, towards the R that never ends. We will rise above ourselves. Step that we take, each W that we break, we rising higher above ourselves, towards the light that never ends. We will rise above ourselves. Step we take, each wall that we break, we're rising higher above ourselves. TOS, the light that never ends. We will rise above ourselves. K. We are reading the study of Volume 2, Part 7. We're reading from item 41, the words. The item 41, that is the first king to come out, and all 7 were incorporated in him. You already know that the principal raising of man are the vessels that were already born in the world. Hence, thus far raising man was primarily through that emerged in the world. First, you already explained that in the beginning there was no need for man to be only the ascension of the desire. It is written that these 7 kings were. It does not mean that they drew, and since they have already been extended in the beginning, evidence of that is that they returned to face and afterwards placed these 7 kings in being. Thus we cannot say that they were man, in though it means that they were placing them in the state of face to be through the raising of man. Once they were already in be. In addition, in that state they drew further, as in the beginning shall return to the matter that after the light of that emerged and entered its vessel, it raised man. And because the dew consists of and because the 7 kings were contained in it at that time, for this reason it had the strength to lower. And however, since the other kings do not raise man, since the exit was still not to them but to the dot, is therefore impossible to lower complete M only through zone together. Therefore what that lowered was the phase of and in and upper in the place of there that resembling him as he does. We continue it. 42. Know the inner light. 1. O king, inner light. For 41. Interpreting after the light of that emerged and entered its vessel, it raised man, and were in it, has already been explained in the previous item that this do does not imply one of that, rather it is the first expansion of the coupling of Gadol, which is a whole level of 10 that came out on the screen of phase 4 of clothing, and the coarseness of phase 3 phase of from below upward is called the looking of ab on each other, and there are 10 in the level of the pH of taste, meaning the expansion from above downward called goof is called the king of that the speaks of here. And although there's only a screen of phase 1 here in AB of it, has been explained elaborately that the bottom hay descended from the through a coupling of ab and came to its place in the meaning. This is because in AB the bottom He is in its place. And when the illumination of Ab was drawn there, it lowered the bottom har in to the place of as. Well returned to the know that when the bottom high which is phase 4 came to its place, it was erected there with a screen as it is in AB, which is phase 4 of clothing and phase 3 of coarseness, and it's because that the illumination of Ab that lowered her to the peck corrected her with his screen 2, hence the 10 emerged on it in the level. However, they wrote that only, however, according to the above, should have drawn 10 in the level of, and as it drew in to understand that we must thoroughly know the matter of coupling face to face of Ab 3 degrees in AB have been explained in my words above until the coupling face to face there. First is back to back, meaning the state of in the beginning. Second is face to back, and the third is face to face, and you find that before a bar. Return to face they must first be in the state of face to back. We already explained there that the state of face to back came by lowering the automy from the to the, at which time AB returned to the, and Ab acquires a state of anterior, however, is still in her posterior, meaning the extension of light of it, since she chooses more than by way of, because he delights in mercy. However, afterwards, when the man of the phase of zone comes to her root from direct light awakens to impart illumination of to this zone that rose to her at that time, she must stop her posterior and make a coupling face to face with a ba, imparting illumination of to the said. Now you can understand why the do draws. Only it is because these man that received from of that are the phase of that makes a coupling with the is and the dot is, which are the phases of said, because they are said must have illumination of and make a coupling with. This is the meaning of the do of Ab, say the whole matter of the necessity that must draw illumination of to this man is extended only from the original connection of a ma of direct light draws illumination of, and during her emanation of zone of direct life. Now too she does not receive from ABA from his, but from his zone, which are actual illumination of in like the zone of direct light, which is in turn the measure that this man awakened her to draw from above. Thus the drop of the coupling of ABA face to face is not more than the phase of and which are zone in mean illumination of, but not at all from the self of the light of. And understand and remember that, for it is the very key for all the of the zone. Now you can see that the 5 levels that emerged here in ABA through the refinement of the screen are and they are all not more than the phase. It has been explained that the matter of the coupling of face to face came in 2 degrees, which are pH to work, and face to back, and face to face. In the beginning, ABA is corrected in G by lowering the bottom hay from the to the TH returned to the, and this correction is still insufficient for Emma to turn her anterior back to a ba, because her posterior is in the form of, because he delights in mercy, she craves more than. Hence at that time AB stand face to back, interior of ABA in the posterior of IMA only. Afterwards, when man of obtains man, she returns to her anterior to a ba for the purpose of correcting the man in the illumination of. You already know that even now when she makes a coupling face to face with ABA, she still does not receive from him more than these men. Need you also know that the coupling by striking made on the bottom hay that descended to the P elicited on the level of which is the light of. Hence it is considered that the drop, the coupling that came to the man through this coupling face to face is the measure of Z, since the 10 of are on the level of which is the light of IM receives from ABA only as much as need, which are Herman. Hence this illumination that she receives his know that with respect to zone itself she is as complete for him, and this is the end of zones growth, that level that emerged on a coupling of face to face on the screen of phase 4 in the, which is a level of zone of is considered that of, since she is the principal element that couplets. This is not more than The in it are in the form 5, and the in it is in the form of 5. All this is the phase of meaning. The T that come out from below, upward afterwards they descended, and clothe in the goof from above downward, meaning in the full amount they clothe, in the and these. T that clothed in the goof are called the king of that. This is the first expansion of the Nikim, and it is the state of the tastes of, and after the king of Du broke phase 4, was refined in the to phase 3. It means that the bottom hay rose from the place of the pet to the place of the and the coupling on the screen of phase 3 emerged, drew the level of the 10 up to and the level of disappeared from. For this reason it is now called goof half. ABA now find that when B makes a coupling with ABA, she draws only Z of, since the 5 and 5 do not receive the light of the light from now, since the light disappeared from ABA, instead they received the level of which is the measure of zone of. For this reason it is considered that 5 and 5V are the man, and Z descended now from the phase of which is the to the goof of which is also their expansion from above downward into the phase of Waf, is called the king of which is the fee of zone of in the light. But when the king of broke phase 3 in, there was refined into phase 2 rose to thin, and the 10 on the level of emerged, the level of disappeared, and it is considered that 5 and 5 descended into the goof of I am, which is the level of Bina. Now they receive only the measure of Z of, and the expansion of the 10 from above downward from this level is called the king of which is zone of in the illumination. Orish. Similarly, after the king of broke the screen was refined from phase 2 to phase 1, and 10 on the level of merged from the low upward. This is considered that the 5 and the 5 emerged to the phase of it expanded into a state of G in the upper third of king of from above downward, and it is the phase of. Now we have thoroughly explained how the 5 phases of only in, then, even is only, but the illumination that it receives from is the illumination that it receives from of, and the illumination that it receives from is after the light of D emerged and entered its vessel. It raised man and drew. This is because consists of it means that in meaning the man that received from has only, because I am a drew for it only illumination from ABA. It is similar to the illumination that there is in Z of Ab itself from the light of ABA. For this reason it does not have more than, and in the illumination of the goof has only what expands it from the. It has also been explained that this king of Du is the first expansion of the world of Nikim, called tastes, where all the levels below are contained and are only a state of diminution from its level, he says, and because the 7 kings were contained in it at that time, for this reason it had the strength to lower. This is because the greater part of the entirety of was extended by man, because it returned to about a coupling face to face. Hence even after it expanded from above downward to its place to the goof of the king of Du, it is considered the cause of Ab to draw the coupling face to face is so, because I am cannot return to her state of posterior, so that the illumination of in it will not be end. Hence the king of D2 is regarded as man and the cause of the sustenance and positioning of face to face. When the king of D broke and the phase 4 was refined, the entire coupling of AB face to face was not revoked instantaneously, because the coes of phase 3 still remain in the screen. It is known that the upper light makes a coupling with the screen also during its gradual refinement. By this it elicits the rest of the levels of the 3 kings and the upper third of. For this reason the entire state of face to face was not lost from, but only their level of, called the looking of the phase of face to face of the level of which emerged on phase 3 of the screen, and does not belong to the level of that still remained in it height, since the other kings do not raise since their exit was not to them but to the dot. Therefore, or what the do lowered was the phase and in the place of their D resembling him as he. Thus it means that the state of face to face was not entirely cancelled, only the level that is attributed to that. Resembling him as he does, yes. Face to face attributed to the other kings still remained. And since they have not come out yet all right, should we continue? 42 again. Yes, continue. Item 42 the words of the when this vessel the king called that broke that of upper AB to descended in the place of the goof of this vessel of the king called that descended to the world of after it broke the other 6 lights that were with it entered in the vessel of the king called, and at that time upper were still far to face, since they do not return to back until everything completes the descent, as they are adhered face to face. This adhesion must be removed entirely, and then they will return to back. However, as long as there is some adhesion left in them, they do not return back. We shall explain below the matter of the complete adhesion of ab when they are face to face, and what it is about when 5 descended from upper to down in the goof. It necessarily caused the lack of light, though they did not return completely back. Also, the meaning of this slck is the lack of the looking of the anim of on each other. 42 in her light here writes when this vessel of the king that broke off upper to descended in the place of the goof of the concealment of the light of K is considered with respect to Ba as the concealment of its phase of. Therefore it is considered that the man that stands at the of which descend to their place of go, meaning the level of without, is because the screen was refined to phase 3, which elicits merely the level of, and what is written that the vessel fell to be will be explained below. The 6 lights that were with it entered in the vessel of the king called. This means that it was done by the coupling on the screen that was refined to the phase of, and the drop of coupling of face to face of this level that descended on the man in them is regarded as the measure of the illumination of Z, considered its phase of with respect to the of Z itself, and it expanded in the king of. It has already been explained that the screen is refined and diminishes degree by degree until it elicits 6 other kings, except for which are 2 levels while still in upper ABA phase 1 and phase 2. These are the kings of G, the upper third of, and the 4 levels in are phase 3, phase 2, phase 1, and the root phase, which are 2, and all these levels were incorporated in phase 3, over which the level of and the of emerged, since they gradually diminish from him onward. This is why he says the other 6 lights that were with it entered in the vessel of the king. They are incorporated in it, as we have explained the looking of the of ab on each other. It has already been explained that this is what the level of the of ABA is called. This is the one that disappeared due to the breaking of the king of do and resulting refinement of phase 4. It is because the screen appears primarily in the goof, as it is only potential in the ocean, not an actual fact. Thus, when the vessel broke, the screen was revoked, and the coes that the vessel is from when the second king reigned, which is he drew the 5 to expand in the goof of ab. When he died, he descended to, and the 5 lights descended in the third king. At that time the posterior of ABA, made by the expansion of the above 5, fell, and now all of them have fallen, descended in the of Abba, returned his posterior to the interior of Biner, and the state is called back to face, as the anterior of B are now facing the posterior of light. 43 drew the 5 to expand in the goof of. When he died, he descended to B, and the 5 lights descended in the third king. At that time the posterior of ABA fell, since when the king of Baruch phase 3 was refined to phase 2, the level Ba appear, and 10 at the level of Biner came out. It is therefore considered that turned their anterior into posterior, since the phase of is considered the posterior of, although its anterior it is the interior of B. This is the meaning of AB returned his posterior to the anterior of Beaner returned his interior to the interior of Beaner, and the state is called back to face as the interior of are now facing the posterior of this is because the interior of are 5 as the road above, and they are sweetened by the light of the matter of the degree of back to face is written above, and we should not ask about the words there that the degree of back face does not apply to AB. This is so because there it concerns the correction of ab in the world of, and at that time they do not need it. And here it is about the diminution of the lights and their gradual ascent to their emanator. It is not at all important here if they need it or not, and this is simple. Let's go to the next part of the lesson. We are reading the foreword to the book of ZW item 27 item 27. Now you can understand that all these changes described in the world do not pertain to godliness itself, but only to the souls to the extent that they receive from through the three worlds. Be the meaning of the actuality of that world is in the relation of the blueprint to the preliminary thought, which is however both in and in the world of. There is still nothing in terms of their souls, just like there's nothing of the actual wood, bricks or metal in the blueprint of the person who designed it. The existence of the souls begins to manifest in the world of pride. This is why the vessels of the 10 which actually allot the ration to the souls are necessarily not godliness, but are renewed, since there cannot be any changes or numbering in godliness. Hence we attribute the 3 colours red, green and black to the vessels of the tea. Inconceivable that they will be discerned as godliness, since there is no renewal in him whatsoever. However, the light clothed in the 10 vessels in B is simple godliness and unity, unchanged at all. Even the light clothed in the lowest vessel N is complete godliness without any change at all. This is because the light itself is one, and all the changes made in it in its illumination are made by the vessels of the which are not godliness. In general, they comprise the 3 above shades. In particular, numerous changes were made of these 3 shades. When he talks about the souls in stage 1, he's talking about the world of when the souls emerged, or even before in the thought before. We don't discuss that, but is it in the thought of creation when the souls were created? No, there is no such state. So the first phase is when exists already. It's only towards us. Okay, keep going. Item 28. The vessels of the 10 of certainly receive from every little item and detail of the changes, since there is the blueprint of all the details that will unfold in the actual building of the house in B. Hence it is considered that the vessels of their 10 receive from their corresponding feature in meaning from the blueprint. This is so because every detail in their execution stems from every detail in the blueprint. In this respect we name the vessels the white, although it is not at all a colour. Nevertheless, it is the source of all the colours, and like the white in the Book of Wisdom, where although there is no perception of the white in it, and the white in the book is meaningless to us, it is still the carrier of the entire Book of Wisdom, for it shines around and inside each letter and gives each letter its unique shape and even combination. Unique place, we might say the opposite. We have no perception of the substance of the red, green or black letters. All that we perceive and know of the substance of the letters of the book is only through the white in. It is so because through its illumination around and within each letter it creates shapes in them, and these shapes reveal to us all the wisdom in the book. We can compare it to the 10 of, even though they resemble the white colour, it is impossible to discern anything in them, neither a number nor any change or other such appellations. Yet all the changes necessarily come from the 10 vessels of the speech of and the illumination of the white to the worlds be, which are the 3 colours of the substance of the letters. Although there are no vessels there for itself, as it is all white, it is like the allegory of the white in the book with respect to the letters and their combination, since its illumination to be makes the vessels in. Then, questions meaning the white light even though it's not attained. Actually, it carries in it all of the impression from the limitations that the other letters that are written on the white background. That's how he passes to us the essence of what the white is. It's things that are on the limit of our perception. Next, it 29 from what has been he his life and his although is simple unity there, and there is nothing of the creatures there. He pertains to godliness as it is in itself, in which we have no perception, and it is imperceivable, imperceptible, as has been explained in all the essences. Even the corporal pertains to the 10 vessels there which we have likened to the white in the book of the wisdom. Even a number cannot be noted in the white, for there is no one there to make a number, as it is all white. We not only attribute a number to them, but all the changes that appear in dear, which are the substance of the letters, are first found in the vessels in itself. However, it is only in the manner of the white which gives all the shapes of the letters in the book, which there is no form in it itself. It has no form. Similarly, the 10 vessels of are detailed with numerous changes according to their illuminations in there, as in the blueprint executed in the actual work of building the house. Thus all these changes carried out in beer are only from the illumination of the vessels of the tea of, and the multitude of changes we find in the white relate to the receivers. In our with relation to itself, it is like the white in and of itself, and clothed in the ink and the letters. No number and nothing at all is found in it. Thus we have thoroughly explained the self, which are the vessels, which in themselves are simple unity, as he is what are is he his essence is this. Look what he says, that he is his godliness as he is himself, which we have no perception. Yet so is that his essence. Yes, is it something that it precedes even the world of. I take what he writes here as a writing in its own right. Whatever is here, I don't connect it to all other places, because we can get confused in the language, so I'll connect these things to different reality. Allah. Next, his life pertains to the light that is clothed in the white, which is the above mentioned vessels. We understand that this light only with respect to the souls that received from Ort, and not in the godliness itself, means that when the 3 worlds rise to with the souls of people, the light they received there is considered light of, called light of it, in that respect that we name the light there his life. This is also the meaning of what in is written, and he his life and his self are one, since all these 3 discernments relate to the receivers, where his self is the illumination of the vessels in the place of under the, since the light of will never go below, but only the illumine of their vessels. The quality his life is the illumination of the light of itself when rise to, and he pertains to the essence of godliness, which is completely unattainable. Says that although we the receivers should discern these 3 qualities in Ort, it nonetheless pertains only to the receivers with respect to the world of Ort itself. Even his self is considered he, meaning the essence of godliness. For this reason there is no perception whatsoever in the world of itself. This is the meaning of the white colour, and with is in which there is no perception for itself, and it is all utterly simple unity. That's okay. No. Why, how can you attain that towards the receivers? The world of Ort is as he right towards himself. He's not like you perceive the world of towards himself. We can't say anything himself. What is the world of considered towards himself? I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is that created beings can attain it, and whatever they can attain, so they can attain. 31Z describes the vessels in as growing or diminishing by people's actions. Also we find is to give anger and strength to the creator, meaning it is not to be taken literally in godliness itself, as there cannot be any changes in godliness whatsoever as it is written, I the Lord, do not change. The thought of creation was to do good to his creations. It teaches us that he has a desire to bestow. We find in the world that the giver's contentment grows when the receivers from him multiply, and he wishes to proliferate their receivers. In this respect we say that they grow when the lower ones are given the bestow of, or that they nurture idly when there are no lower ones worthy of receiving his abundance. The more diminished to that extent, meaning there's no one to receive from them, yes, meaning it's all according to the vessels of their receivers. But we have in our next part the same thing. Okay, we're continue. Item 32. You might compare it to a candle. If you light 1,000 candles from it, or if you light none, you will not find that it caused any changes in the candle itself. It is also like if he had progeny of thousands of offspring like us today, or if he had no progeny at all, it would not induce any change at all. Himself likewise, there is no change at all in the world awful itself, whether the lower ones receive its great abundance, lusty receive nothing at all. The above mentioned greatness lies solely on the lower ones. See right, that as much as the light comes from through it towards the created beings, all the lower ones, it doesn't affect the world of anything. Next 33. Why did the authors of their set have to describe all those changes in the world of itself? It should have spoken explicitly only with respect to the receivers in beer, and not speak so elaborately of forcing us to provide answers as if changes in indeed there is a very trenchant secret. Here this is the meaning of, and by the hand of the prophets have I used similitudes. The truth is that there is a godly will hear that these similitudes, which operate only in the souls of the receivers, will appear to the souls as he himself participates in them to greatly increase the attainment of the souls. Is like a father who constrains himself to show his little darling child a face of sadness and a face of contentment, although there is neither sadness nor containment in him. He only does this to impress his darling child and expand his understanding so as to play with him. Only when he grows will he learn and know that all that his father did was no more real than mere playing with him. So is the matter before us. All these images and changes begin and end only with the impression of the souls by the will of God. They appear as though they are in him himself. He does that to enhance and expand the attainment of the souls to the utmost, in accordance with which is in accordance with the thought of creation, to delight his creations, his meaning even if we have some complaint, the answer for it that it's in order to do good to his created beings, and that will be revealed to us. 37. 34. Let it not surprise you that you find such a conduct in our corporeal perceptions. To take our sense of sight for example, we see a wide world before us, wondrously filled, but in fact we see all that only in our own interior. In other words, there's a sort of photographic machine in our hindbrain which portrays everything that appears to us, and nothing outside of us has made for us there in our brain a kind of polished mirror that inverts everything seen. So we will see it outside our brain in front of our faces, yet what we see outside of us is not a real thing. Nevertheless, we should be so grateful to his providence for having created that polished mirror in our brains in front of our faces. What we see outside of us is not a real thing. Nevertheless, we should be so grateful to his providence for having created that polished mirror in our brains, enabling us to see and perceive everything outside of us, for by this he has given us the power to perceive everything with clear knowledge and attainment, and measure everything from within and from without. Without it we would lose most of our perception. The same is true with godly will concerning godly perceptions. Even though all these changes unfold in the inferior of the receiving souls, they nevertheless see it all in the giver himself, since only in this manner are They awarded all the perceptions and all the pleasantness in the thought of creation. You can also deduce this from the above parable. Even though we see everything as being in front of us, every reasonable person knows for certain that all that we see is only in our own brains. So are the souls. Although they see all the images in the giver, they have no doubt that all those are only in their own interior and not at all in the giver. Yet that's something man himself has to attain, that whatever he sees, it's all established in within him and not outside. That's why it's not that he sees a great world around him, but he sees what his qualities and senses depict within him. That part in the brain in the back there are all kinds of forms. Yes, it be that a person would attain something, that he would discern something that's actually outside of him before he attains anything. It's already in him, and he attains what's depicted in him, meaning it's all according to his vessels. So the entire perception of a bestower is in no means what he himself is, but rather only what I depict. Right, and a person knows to say that this is only what he can describe. Man can't really say that, but if he goes deeper into his perception, so yes, so what do the souls attain? They attain what the force depicts upon them. Can we say that these are vessels, that he's attaining vessels and lights? He wrote that these in these renewed vessels and beyond that are kind. Well, not it's a difference as much as it belongs to godliness or doesn't belong to godliness. That's the difference that happens towards the created beings. So that's where the attainment is in that differentiation. No, the attainment is in what we perceive in our vessels. No, that's it. Yeah. How can you depict this perception that it's all inside of me? Because we always run outwards towards all that's around me, because you can't deal with what you have before you. That's clear, but what do you do? That's the question. How to live where everything's inside of me, that a world, a person, is a small world, not to run towards some detail in reality. Only by attaining the truth, the current state, you have no way to discern between the two. Can yet from me knowing that all I see is not real, and that's my inner state. What attitude do I need to have towards that? How should I relate to this? You relate in whichever way you do, however it's depicted before you. That's it. Gee, thank you. Yes, Jalad. If we're talking about our attitude towards reality, I think it's clear. Meaning, if I look at someone right now and I negate him, and then a friend comes and tells me how great he is, then I'll also see him as great. But if I'm talking about reality, let's say I see a table here, so how can I understand that it's inside of me? After all, everyone sees and agrees with me that this is a table, because they're with you in the same perception. Reality, you perceive them, and you perceive what he tells you that he perceives. So why in our relation to reality we can change it, and really the influence of the environment completely changes everything. The society decides what's great and what's small for me. Society can help you change your perception of reality by helping you rise or fall, and by that you change. Yes, but there are things in reality, a Kabbalist that say that's in the end of Christian. Well, will he not see a table like I see it? Our lawyer there, I don't know. Our lawyer there, I don't know. Each one perceives reality according to his degree, according to his attainment. Again, are we talking about the relations between people, which is basically our work, and the relations between us, that we need to discover the creator in it? Yeah, or altogether our attitude towards still vegetative animal speaking, that we perceive that is so. What say? Question all that he speaks about here, that everything's inside of us, and that we altogether received a great gift, and we can see everything. There's innity and externality. He's talking about relations between us, or is he talking about the totality of reality that we perceive? He doesn't relate to reality itself. What is depicted before us relates to our perception of the creator and all the Rest, I don't want to complicate the question very simple. These things that we're working on. The relations in the T, the connection between us where we reveal the creator. Or is he talking about the totality of our perception, the still, the vegetative, the animal and the speak again where singly everything is outside of us? Yeh, is it this or that, or is it whichever way you define yourself and how you receive and how you recognize and how you talk, meaning to the extent of our attainment that changes? Well, yes, again. Yeh, from this we understand that besides a person who's observing and the creator, there is nothing. Even the people that I see around are things that are being depicted in me. And the question is, let's say we see other people, or I see other people, because you can't talk here about other people who are looking. I see everyone, and there are parts of my soul that is observing and watching what's being broadcasted in me. Does a person know how to differentiate, and why does he differentiate what the creator is and what he is? Is there such a differentiation? No, none. You could say that one of the perceptions in a human, that he describes part of the reality that is depicted in him too, his to the reality and to the creator, meaning inside my soul I see those three parts, let's say so. Yeah, thank you. Why are we so different, we humans, and what are we different? Yes, we, because each of us grasps a different reality. And what are we different than animals? It's the same thing, but if everything is within a person and the creator broadcasts this picture inside of him and a person sees it in his high brain somewhere, so seemingly we should all be together. The creator is broadcasting that picture, and it's written that it should be said that each has his own creator. Yeah, each one has his own qualities. So why is it? It's like what? Each is soul, a special soul. Yeah, each one has a special part and creation, and then the goal is for all these souls to connect eventually to one soul. Yeah, that's part of the correction of creation. They all connect together and perceive the wholeness of creation together. Okay, all right, here we should stop so people won't get too confused, please. Our broadcast schedule for today, Monday, at noon Isra time, the afternoon lesson. At 5:30 p.m, we're reading the study of 10, and at 7:30 p.m, we're reading the Zohar, and we'll conclude with the So, I, for, for, R, A, for, O,